Picture it. There's something I need you to be able to tell me. Is there anything in the world scarier than a life with no coffee? The idea alone absolutely terrifies me. So I'll give you a second. I'll give you a minute. See if you can picture a world without coffee and tell me that there is something scarier than that. Good. Now that we all know that there is absolutely nothing in this world scarier than a world without coffee, we can continue to the rest of this video. Hello everyone, I am the Cryptic Mind that will be taking you on today's journey through stories that are real, scary, but not as scary as a world with no coffee. I had a comment in my comment section asking me to do the Bobby Mackey hauntings, which is definitely going to be next week's video. It was supposed to be this week's video. However, you see, when I go and do research, I end up going down like 50 different rabbit holes. This is the rabbit hole that we decided to go down this week, and I couldn't help it. I just needed you all to know the stories that I'm about to tell. Now, before we get into today's episode, I just want to say I am a huge fan of supposedly haunted locations and trying to find the paranormal. It's always been a thing for me. I have been on multiple investigations, whether I've conducted them myself with my friends or I've been on actual live tours with people. I enjoy the concept of this so much. It is a huge thing in my world, in my genre, in my fascinations. So with that being said, I can say definitely that there is a difference between what's real and what people are saying. I get it. Not a lot of these sound real. I get that a lot of paranormal stuff that people tend to put their minds towards is like The Conjuring, and it's not like that in every case. If you read paranormal stuff in your spare time, I think you'll figure out there is a way of always seeing, okay, is this actually real or are you just bullshitting me here? Like, what is going on? And I want to say that I actually took the time to read through these to make sure that, this wasn't just some random fake out just giving to you guys. No, I made sure that this was at least mildly accurate. I am excited to share these with you today. In fact, one of them is one of my own personal accounts, which I have always found the most entertaining out of every hunt I've been on or any form of even remotely an attempt at an investigation. So I'm excited to get to these stories. I hope that you all enjoy. Okay, now let's set the mood here. Perfect. June 10th, 1912. If you are a fan of cold cases, then the Villisca Axe Murderhouse in Villisca, Iowa is no stranger to you. This is a case where there were suspects, theories, but nothing ever led to one single person and the murderer was never caught. To understand what happened on the morning of June 10th, we have to go back to the night of June 9th. So June 9th, 1912, the Moore family, with the addition of two friends of the Moore children, Lena and Ina Stillinger, arrived at the Moore house at 9:45 to 10 o'clock at night after a Children's Day program held by their church. All witness accounts testified that they left when the program ended around 9:30 p.m. and took the 15-minute walk back to their house. From what everyone noticed, no one was acting strange. They all seemed like their usual selves and having a wonderful time with the program. A lot of people speculate that they never knew they were targeted because they even let friends come over and spend the night. It was overall a great time and everyone had crawled into their own beds that night and went to sleep sometime before midnight. Following morning around 5 a.m., Mary Peckham, a next-door neighbor, was up early to hang her laundry and get the morning chores out of the way. Usually around this time, she would see someone up and awake and starting their day in the Moore house, but she admitted that it was unusually still that morning. Not thinking much of it. After all, they were at a church's Children's Day program that day before. She continued with her work. Surely, they were bound to wake up soon, and everyone was known for hitting the snooze button every once in a while. However, around 7 a.m., no one was awake. Being out of character for the Moore family, Mary went to check on them. When she tried the front door, it was locked from the inside. So she decided to be a good neighbor, let out the Moore's chickens, and then tell Josiah's brother, which is the head of the household, Ross Moore, to come over and check in on the family. Ross Moore approached the house. He did everything to get their attention of the family, looking through windows, banging on the door, causing a small scene for someone to wake up and unlock the house. Mrs. Peckham followed him along the way of his wayward quest of waking up the family, but no one answered. So he got his spare key to the house and let himself in while Mrs. Peckham stayed on the porch. She witnessed as Ross went no further than the parlor room. He opened a bedroom door and what he found terrified him. 2 bodies were on the bed and dark stains were on the bedclothes. He immediately ran back out into the porch and told Mrs. Peckham to call the sheriff. The 2 bodies he had found were of Lena and Ina Stillinger, ages 12 and 8. In total, 8 bodies were found bludgeoned to death by police with an axe left at the crime scene, and doctors estimated the time of death to be shortly after midnight. With the lack of struggle, it was led to believe that all the members were killed in their sleep. This location is now open for a tourist attraction, and people can stay there in order to conduct their own paranormal investigations. Disembodied voices, footsteps, and pictures have been displayed, supposed proof that the Moore family still reside in that house. People have gone so far as to bring toys for the ghost children just to glimpse at the paranormal activity. Some people say the family doesn't even realize they're dead. My favorite story that I found was that a group of DI editors were told to sit in the house for a night, and while they were there, they used flashlights as a way of communicating. Now, flashlights, for those who don't know, are seen to be easy to communicate yes or no questions to ghosts. Through electromagnetic waves, they are able to mess with the battery, which can brighten, dull, turn on, or turn off the light in order to speak. Anyways, when they were trying that out, they actually got a response. They claimed that no one was near or touching the flashlight when they were conducting this conversation. I don't know about you, but if I was a paid editor for this place, I would want a raise after being told to go spend a night in a haunted house where 8 other people were murdered. It might just be me, but I mean, I would go willingly. But if you're sending a whole group, like, how could you expect everyone to just be like, yes, I am so for this? Like, someone had to be freaking out. I want video proof of this happening, because I want to see who that guy in the background was that would have been screaming his head off in the highest girl pitch possible. Like, that's what I want to see. I think that would have been better if they made it a video over an article. Alright, so this next one is based entirely off of many witness accounts that I was reading through, so they don't have like an actual story to tell of how they got there, why they were there in the first place. So, my big brain here said we need a story, and I'm going to provide that story. So, bear with me as I tell a tale for this second location. You are driving down the Gold Belt Tour Scenic and Historic Byway when you notice a detour. It's a dark night and your GPS is telling you that this is the best route to go on, so you take the detour. Fatigue made the decision for you. It's a narrow, crackling back road close to what was the Florence and Cripple Creek Railroad. To your knowledge, that railroad was used as a connection for mining towns in the 1800s, specifically Cripple Creek, Canyon City, and Florence, hence the name. As you take this long roadway, you pass through towns that seem odd. They were washed up. Some were turned into desolated rubble on the side of the road. These were buildings of what used to be town, and they stood with a darkness that loomed overhead, similar to their own demise. It's getting later and later as you take that route that your GPS swore by, only for said GPS to lose its signal. You're also realizing that the road ahead of you is getting more dangerous. Sharp turns turn into drop-offs that have ran your car off almost a few times now due to the darkness. Even with the high beams on, they weren't helpful in detecting the twists and turns and potholes, forces you to slow the car down into a crawl. And that is when you notice that someone is walking alongside the path closest to the railroad tracks. He was not completely there in your eyes, only a shadow of a person. However, you knew the prison uniform, and at the sight of that, you took your losses, turned back around. The Phantom Canyon Road is a sight to behold, with a dangerously narrow road with sharp turns and dense forest terrain. It truly is meant for the bravest of hearts. It passes by flooded ghost towns as it takes the steep climb up the mountains of Colorado, and if you're lucky, you will get to witness the ghost of a prisoner that wanders around the railroad tracks. He is known as an executed prisoner from the 1890s, from what investigators have gathered, and will not bother you if you do not bother him. Now, this third story that I'd like to bring up was actually a personal experience of mine back when I was in high school. Like I said before, this had always been a fascination for me, and there was a place that my friends and I stumbled on accident when we were out trying to find abandoned structures and haunted locations. This wasn't even on our radar whenever we were out there searching that night. Now, I won't say where, mainly to protect myself in this case, but we found the ruins of what was a mental institution / hospital. The gates were always unlocked, graffiti was everywhere, most of it was in ruins, so we thought why not go in? You know, because that's the smartest thing to do. Like, please don't try this at home. Anyways, when we went there, you could tell the project was half demolished and that it was abandoned years before we got there. So because the job was never finished, my friends and I decided the smart move was to go into a building that we guessed was structurally sound, even though it was covered in rubble from the other demolished buildings. Again, we're stupid geniuses here. Never do this. I condone none of this. So here we are in this semi-structurally sound building. My friends and I were really giddy. We brought these candles. We were ready to see what would happen. We were trying this experiment that we found online. This hallway had these triangle supports on the wall, and we never knew what they were used for, but we decided, why not put a candle on it? Sounds smart, right? We lit the candle, made sure that the wind would not easily get to it, and we waited. Well, nothing happened for quite a bit of a time, and we were all kind of anxious. The area felt heavy, but we thought it was because we were in a dark hallway that was covered in graffiti and in rubble. Like, this area was not the definition of comfort on its own. Well, then my friend decided we needed to cause a scene, and he started trying to provoke it. Whatever the hell was there, I may add. None of us knew if this was actually a haunted location. We just kind of made the assumption because it was creepy AF. Well, the area immediately felt heavier because we heard footsteps trailed up from the other hallway. And we can't see, it's dark as hell out. We assumed it was another person because there was graffiti everywhere. This obviously wasn't an area that was completely abandoned from everybody. So while we waited and we heard these footsteps, my friend turned on a flashlight just in case it was coming from the staircase behind us or the hallway in front of us. Well, the footsteps stopped at the light and we all froze. What the hell is going on here? Is basically what all of us were wondering at this point. Next thing we know, we heard a distinct and the candle was out. My friend held out the flashlight as the guy with us got shoved to the ground by something. I don't know what, but something. We held lights up, we tried to figure it out. There was nothing around us. And you could tell he wasn't expecting it because we all turned on the lights, and when he got up, he hightailed it out of there before any of us thought to do a damn thing. And we just followed behind him because we thought, you know what, that's a smart move at this point. You would have thought a real serial killer was chasing after us by the way we ran to that car and was gone. But we did come back a week later to investigate further. But that's beside the point. You would think the terror would get to us, but no. That just made us want to go back. The stupid shit we've done. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Like I said, Bobby Mackey will be coming next week. I love talking about this type of content, so if you are a fan, subscribe for more. I'd love having you stick around for a while. Just remember that no matter how scary these stories may have gotten, if you got scared at all, there is nothing scarier than a world without coffee in it. I hope you all have a great week. Enjoy your day. Bye!